paranormal community, and thank you for partaking here in the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill, returning after a 2-week movecation, whatever you want to call it, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. David Sawyering. Welcome back, Dave.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Paranormal Universe. It was interesting couple of weeks. Kind of ran into some issues, so I had to get some stuff sorted out, but it's all sorted, kind of. Things are a little wonky at the moment with noise coming out of like every set of speakers I own, including my headphones, so I'm getting like the tri effect here. But
well, we ain't hearing it, so it's all you.
Yeah, I was going to say I can live with it, and as long as it's not screwing stuff up, whatever. It's good for tonight.
Well, that's why we got on early to fix it, and all we did was
should have done that before I had my 27 windows open of research. That I'm like, I can't restart the computer because if I do, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
You should get working technology. I hear it's really good.
Yeah, I know. That's what I've heard too.
All right. Well, we have a great show for everybody today. It is part 1 of 2 that we are doing, and I don't want to say good versus evil because that's not what we're talking about. It's good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is part 1, and which is good. And so we want to talk about, or we're going to try and talk about, because search engines, and we'll talk about this later, search engines seem to be set up to give us anything but what we actually searched for.
Yep.
And so we'll get into that later. But we do have some pretty awesome stories. One that I did not know about until I was watching a documentary on tornadoes, if you can believe that. So, but we have another set, obviously, of stories in our mailbag, which we'll be getting through here. But I want to start tonight with a story of my own that I've been saving for like a week and a half for Dave's return, because I think you'll find this I think you'll find this interesting. All right. So, and maybe amusing. So about a week ago, maybe it was just Monday. I think it was Monday. I was as I always am, working. And as most people know, I drive for UPS, which they now have a new contract. So the world will not fall into chaos this coming week. So everybody can be calm and relaxed that they're going to get their flipping packages on time, just as they normally would. But I was approaching a kind of, it's a warehouse and like distribution type center for a very popular retail chain. And they have a store, a public store for people to go in as part of this warehouse. And the navigation on my scanner, for whatever reason, it actually really, I hate it, but it will make you or want you to cut through parking lots instead of just going down the road. Like it'll have you go through a church parking lot, whether it knows it's accessible or not. It just reads that it is. So I've gone through this parking lot many times before. And so I'm approaching it. And so I look into the parking lot to see where all the hazards are. Are there cars coming out? Are there people walking in? You have to know this when you drive to make sure everybody's safe. And I see approaching the front door, this what looks to be very attractive woman who is walking in with either her husband or boyfriend, a guy. And I want to get a better look. I only got.
So you run the guy over and then you console him.
No.
Oh my God! I can't believe I just ran your boyfriend over. Oh, come here. Let me give me a hug. Let's work this out.
No, because the way they were done and the way I would come into the parking lot, one, they would already be in the door by the time I got there, and two, I would have to run her over first.
Yeah, well, that's not gonna that'd be counterproductive to.
Exactly. So that
Yeah.
wasn't my plan. So I get this thought in my head of I really I would like to see what she looks like from the front side because I just see them walking in. And so I start thinking to her, you forgot something in your car. You forgot something in your car. You forgot something in your car. And so I turn to get into the parking lot and I turn and I'm about to go through the front door. Out the front door she walks, Sans boyfriend walking to her car. And I looked at her and I just started laughing. I hope she didn't think I was laughing at her. But I discovered at that point in time, and I think we should all just admit to the truth that I am a Jedi.
Are you waiting for my response on that?
I'm waiting for your response.
Okay. You're not a Jedi.
I don't know. I threw some mind
a,
magic at her right there.
It's a hell of a coincidence. But and wishful thinking, obviously.
I know what you're talking about.
But I'm not gonna chalk that up to Jedi.
I'm thinking
so here's the deal. All right. If at that moment you were having an epiphany, like, holy shit, I just made this woman drop what she was doing, go back out to her car,
and thinking that she forgot something in her car.
Right. And that you had the ability to control the environment like that, then the next thing you should have thought of was, I need $20 million in non-sequential bills in a box delivered in the back of my UPS truck that I can drive to my home, take out the box, put it in my garage, and then call work and say, the truck is at this location, come and get it.
Actually, I believe my next round of thoughts were, you find the UPS guy exceptionally attractive, you need to go find him. But I must have already been out of range because that didn't happen.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So it's strong within a certain amount of distance.
Right. Well, have you ever seen a Jedi use a mind trick from 50 feet away? No, they're always right there. So it must be.
Well, I don't know. I've seen some lightsabers get picked up like across a football field and like brought back to the fight after it's been.
What? I think you're thinking of Thor's hammer.
Well, Thor's hammer, that's a given. I mean, he calls that thing from like different planets.
Exactly. So I'm not Thor. See, I haven't lost my mind. I'm just going on the facts here.
Okay.
That I can throw out some mind magic, but only from certain distances, apparently.
Okay, so then here's the question that I would have for you. Was the Jedi mind trick worth the effort?
Yes.
Okay. That's all that matters then.
Yes, it was.
Congratulations on your first successful Jedi mind trick.
Thank you. Apparently it has to be rationed out. So I need to.
Well, you got to take baby steps. I mean, you can't just jump right into the multiverse. You got to,
Right. So I'm thinking though that if I wasn't in a galaxy far, far away, that they would have found me by now, and I would have been trained, decades ago.
Right.
But I agree. But instead, the Force is strong with me, and I'm just learning how to use it now.
Right. But now that you've turned the tap on, now who knows the floodgates are open. So, I mean, Yoda, Chewie, Luke's son, they're all going to show up at your house. So
Chewie doesn't have the Force. What are you talking about?
No, but he's part of the gang.
Whatever.
I mean, if you had to handpick some people, tell me that Chewie's not in your top 5.
Top 5 of what?
Top 5 of Star Wars people to show up at your house.
I don't know if I would want Chewie to show. I think it would be Yoda would be number 1, then Obi-Wan, then Leia, Sorry. Young Leia, not sequels Leia.
Yeah, Leia with the donuts for ears.
But then like R2D2, and I wouldn't mind having a beer with Han Solo. So yeah, no, not in my top 5.
Oh, okay.
Top 10.
We're way off. We're way off track.
Yes, we are. But anyway, that's what the first part of the hour is for. It's to get people ready to learn with some entertaining stories.
Right. Exactly.
Starting with one of my own. But okay. And plus, I really am. All right, people. I have a cat story. That's number one. And I was telling Dave that I'm tired of cat stories because there's like no jokes that I haven't told like a million times. And this one just brings up a lot of the same jokes. So, we'll get to it because it does have a slightly different context to it, which I think is important. But
And I'm putting the hiatus on cat stories.
yes, we're gonna have a hiatus on cat stories, unless it's like a really really good one. Like somebody woke up and their cat was skinned alive. Like that would be a good story. I would do that story.
No.
You wouldn't pick that story?
No.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. All right. Well, we're gonna go here. So, oh man, I almost forgot again. I got to get used to doing this.
Mailbag.
Here we go. Music. That's right. Here we go. It's time for the Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. I almost forgot to play that last week again too. Imagine Cena's surprise all of a sudden we disappeared from the screen and the Silent Hill music's playing. Forgot to warn her. All right, here we go. We got 7 great stories for you guys today. So here we go. Number 1, my cat, in quotations, as everyone should be, came back. This happened years ago. We had a beautiful black cat, and he got out when we were moving furniture. We didn't realize it until Dad collected us to tell us that our family pet got hit by a car and was deceased. I remember being numb as I cradled him against my chest, carrying him to a shady spot in our yard that was to be his final resting place. My sister and I buried him, and I put some rocks and flowers on his grave once done. That night, I was taking the trash out with my dog. My dog went sniffing at bushes, and I went down the sidewalk. I felt something brush my ankles, and a faint meow was laid out. My brain told me that it was our cat and that he was giving me a greeting like he did when I would come home. But I brushed it off as my mind playing tricks as my eyes landed on his grave. Okay, sorry. I thought that I read that wrong. When I started walking back up the sidewalk, my dog joined me. Nothing odd about that. He was a crybaby and got scared if he wasn't close to one of us humans. Then there was another meow, this time louder than the first one, and I felt this sudden panic. Like, get inside the house now. You're in danger. Run. I grabbed my dog, and he screamed a scream I never heard a dog make before in my life. It was more human than animal. I held him under my arm like a football in my panic and booked it inside. What did my dog and I experience? It felt dark and evil, like I was really scared for both of us. Okay. I'm going to try and not make fun of cats, or the fact that this one is deceased, because I don't think that this story has anything to do with a cat coming back. Now, there are dogs who, especially if you can carry under your arm like a football, means it's probably a yapper. It's a chihuahua, it's some little ankle biter, and they have shrill barks. And if you just suddenly grabbed them or whatever because you were scared, it's probably going to shriek. in a different way. I don't think there's anything paranormal about your dog sounding like a screaming human. It happens. Um, Not very often, but especially with the smaller ones with the higher pitched barks and whatnot, will and can do it. Um, I, when I first read this, it was definitely like, oh, the cat's brushing against you, yeah, whoop de doo. Uh, but the loud meow after the fact uh, gave me a slight pause, because I know that there are entities out there who will try and get in any way that they can. Um, and they'll take any opening that they can. But I have not come across a story where they use the deceased pet. Usually it's a loved one. Usually it's, some child who quote unquote got murdered, 50 years ago in the pond, across the street, whatever story they can come up with. Usually it's not an animal. Because obviously animals can't talk, but maybe they figured this one, maybe he was getting clever, thought that by making you think that it was their cat, you would invite it to come with. I am a little worried about the fact that your parents allowed you to carry your dead cat to the back to be buried. Usually parents are like, I'll do it. But it's like, hey, sorry, kids, your cat's dead. Here it is. Why don't you go and bury it? Have fun. Like, what? I don't get that parenting strategy at all. But that's just me. Maybe Dave will have better information from the parents' point of view. But don't really think that that's good policy. Um, Honestly, if it was that night from you burying your cat, I'm almost wondering if this is just not something that you brought up yourself. Like you heard a meow, maybe it was from a stray cat that wanted the food you had just put in the trash can, and you were ignoring it, and so it meowed louder, and you took that because you had just buried your cat that afternoon as something more than what it is. Um, I honestly don't know if there's anything paranormal about what is going on other than just your overreaction. Uh, because as Dave and I both know, and as everybody who listens to the show a long time, everybody thinks everything is evil. Like you, you Knocks are evil. So that's just my thing. I honestly don't think that there was anything to worry about. You heard a cat meow and you had a bad reaction to it and you scared the crap out of your dog. I am sorry about your cat. A little bit. So, or that fact that you were the one that had to carry it to the tree to be buried. But yeah, that's all I got about this one.
Okay. So I'm kind of with you. I don't think that this is paranormal at all. But it was interesting. It got included in tonight's stories. Here's what I think is going on. I think once again, it's a severe overreaction to something that is completely explainable, completely normal. There's probably the grief factor weighing in here with the fact that their family cat just passed away. You've got your dog outside. You just recently lost a pet. So now subconsciously, you're probably thinking, when you hear this, you're probably thinking, holy shit, I can't afford to lose my dog too. And so all this mixed emotion is going on in your mind. And so you grab your dog and you kind of run in the house. That's the simple explanation. What might have happened is, I think that potentially it was the fight or flight response. That's kind of what my gut is telling me here. And so I don't know. I'm not saying that it wasn't like a stray cat, like you said. I mean, that makes sense. That's common sense. You're throwing the trash out. Maybe there's a stray cat in the neighborhood. It's hungry. You took out the garbage. You could smell that you threw out last night's lasagna, and the cat's going, "Holy shit, lasagna. I would love to have some. I haven't eaten in 3 days." And so it's meowing. But normally when a cat, especially a stray, or any cat really, it doesn't really have to be a stray, any cat, when it's hungry like that and wants to eat, it's not going to give you a subtle meow like from a distance and then just stop. Like cats, when they want to eat, anybody who's ever owned a cat, when cats want to eat, they want to eat and they want to eat now. They'll climb up in bed, they'll sit on your face, they'll paw at your face, they'll bite you, like not bite you like to hurt you, but like nibble on you to make you wake up, grab your hand, get your attention.
Or
They
to see if you're still
meow.
alive.
Yeah, exactly. They meow nonstop. They get louder and louder and louder till you want to throw them out the window. Um, shit like that. So was this a stray? I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to go with the reason that I think this fight or flight thing came into place is because I think that, and I don't know where they live, so that obviously would factor into my answer here. But I think that maybe it was a cat, but maybe something like a bigger cat. So maybe like a bobcat. I wouldn't say maybe like a cougar. Cougars would definitely probably more like a growl, I would think, than a meow. Thankfully, I've never run into a cougar in the wild or a mountain lion, same thing in the wild. And I have no desire to. But I have seen bobcats in the wild before. Living in Minnesota, they're up north. Canadian lynx are up north. So a couple of times while out in the woods, I have run across bobcats and lynx. Although I'm not positive they meow either, but I think that there's more of a rational sense explanation here than something dark and evil. Yeah. I really just don't see a demon coming up and giving a shit that you're taking the garbage out. I just don't feel it, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah. And usually I only run into cougars at the supermarket.
Exactly. Or the gas station. So what is there a paranormal explanation? I just don't feel it. I don't feel it on this one. I think that what's happening, I think this is a perfect example of people watching too much paranormal TV and thinking that everything is like just normal experiences nowadays have to have some sort of like dark twist. That's what I think is happening here.
Yep.
So we can't give it the paranormal stamp is not coming out on this one. All right. We good to move on? No more cat jokes from you?
Okay. No, I got nothing.
Okay. So number 2, walking sideways and bright. My daughter just came home and started going off about something strange she and her mom encountered. They both say that they saw people near a funeral home, but something about them was off. It was a woman and 2 kids. They were walking very quickly, sort of sideways, as if they were strafing in a video game. Their walking strides were faster than what it appeared they were walking, and for some reason, they were extremely bright, as if they were being highlighted. This made it difficult to see any facial features, if they had any at all. They said it was as if the sun was just shining on them, despite it being overcast out. After driving closer and taking a slight turn, they looked back and didn't see them at all. So they were freaked out about it. They were so freaked out about it that they drove around the block to see if they could spot them again, but to no avail. Basically, have either of you ever encountered something that resembled a person, but they were walking sideways and just appeared to be slightly off? Okay, so to answer the first part of that question, basically, have I ever encountered something that resembled a person, but it wasn't a person? Yes, a couple of times. Were they walking sideways, like strafing in a video game, or highlighted, I guess, in a way where they had this like weird aura around them, like this bright glow that would kind of cancel out your ability to see any facial features? No, I have not. It'd be interesting to see, I'd be into. It's something that, like, if I saw that, I wouldn't. If I were driving and I saw that, I would not continue driving and then like go around the block. I would have stopped the car and gotten out. It could have just been a lady and two kids walking, taking a shortcut across in front of a funeral home. I mean, there's a million reasons why they could have been there. I don't think necessarily that the funeral home has anything to do with this sighting, I guess. I would say that, was it paranormal? I'm going to kind of go with a yes. I mean, if I had to flip a coin and say, do I think this is paranormal? I'm going to say that it's probably something strange happening here, because you've got, I mean, the fact that it was overcast out, yet these things were, or these individuals were completely highlighted to the point where their facial features were blocked out, and they were walking in kind of a strafing motion and moving faster than what their pace would indicate. That's kind of what they didn't quite say that very well, but that's what they meant. At least that's what I interpret that they meant, was that the amount of distance they were covering was substantially quicker than how fast their feet were moving. So do I think it's paranormal? Yeah, I do. Have I ever seen anything like that? No, I have not. But I'd be very interested if I did see it, like I said. So I think it's probably just honestly, the fact that they were there and then not there. I think that this is one of those proverbial time slips. Like, they were on a mission, they were going somewhere, they were moving through our space and time. And because of the distortion of moving in our realm versus what they normally would move in their realm, visually, there's an anomaly there. They look different. The way that they move is different. The fact that how they appear to us visually is different. I know that's far-fetched, and obviously you have to believe in the fact that there's multiple dimensions in order for that answer to make any sense. But you're also listening to the show. And if you don't believe in multiple dimensions, then why are you listening to the show? Because we're strong believers of multiple dimensions and interdimensional beings and stuff like that. And we talk about it quite frequently. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a cool encounter. I think they saw something cool. It's a good personal experience. Regretfully, like, I've been told this many times before. Well, you got a cell phone, pull your cell phone out and record it. It's one of those kind of things, man. I don't know if it's my age or what, but I want to witness what is happening. The first thing that comes to my mind is not, let's record it for posterity. The first thing that comes to my mind is, I want to witness this because this is something unique that is my gut, my angels, whatever you want to call them, is telling me that I'm experiencing something that's abnormal, that's paranormal. And so I want to witness it. I'm not worried about catching it on my phone. But that's what I got. Yes, I think it was paranormal.
And I'm not saying that it's aliens, but it's aliens.
There you go.
I have no flipping idea what this is. As Dave was saying, it could be a whole bunch of different things. It could be a time slip. It could be an interdimensional rift that suddenly, showed up for a couple seconds and then it was gone. Maybe it was from a dimension where families took walks going sideways. I don't know.
Could be. I'm sure there's a dimension where everybody strafes. Like, nobody walks straight. Everybody just strafes.
I honestly don't even know what that means. I can kind of get the idea of what it is, but it also comes down to what was how far away were you?
Right.
Were you right next to them? Were you across a 4-lane highway? What color clothes were they wearing? What was your viewing thing? Like, were there bushes up there so you couldn't really see their feet? Maybe they were on rollerblades. Who the flip knows?
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of different things that this could be. Honestly, it's a coin toss with me. I mean, I can go either way. on whether it's paranormal or not. Um, I just need, I would need to have a lot more information. Like again, how close, how far away were you? Because I 100% believe the funeral home has nothing to do with this story whatsoever. It probably set up their mindset of seeing what they saw and having that funeral home like next to it or in the background
Right.
that made them think that it was something paranormal. Um, and you're right. I mean, it could have been a family on a walk who cut through the parking lot of the funeral home or
Yep.
something like that. But and that's the reason why they disappeared. When you look back, they had got to where they were. Maybe that's the new yoga is now people strafe or whatever the hell it is, down the sidewalk, and that's the exercise. Uh, who knows? I don't keep up with trends, as you probably would gather. Um, so yeah, I don't have much to offer on this one because it could be so many different things. And this is one of those stories where it's like I have 10 follow-up questions that I would need to have before I would even try to make a classification of whether it's paranormal or not. Um, so
I would say this: if the if the person who witnessed this, who wrote it, when your daughter and her mom came home, if they were enamored, like, oh my God, you're never going to believe what happened, and they were like frothing at the mouth, telling you this story, just spitting stuff out, it really happened. If they came home and they were just like, you're never going to believe what we saw. We were driving down the road and there was like these people walking through a parking lot by the funeral home and it looked like they were strafing, like in a video game, you know, then I would say that it was something that was just made up. You know, I think the initial reaction when somebody conveys a personal experience tells you everything you need to know about whether it was a real personal experience or not. I don't care if you're a believer or a non-believer. I don't care if you're an animated individual or you're the most even keel individual on the planet Earth. If you witness something that makes you pause and go, what the hell was that? And do a double take, when you talk about it to somebody, you're going to be enthusiastic in your description of what was happening. You're going to have this energy flowing out as you're just trying to relive it in your mind and describe what it was that you saw. So I think for me, that would be the determining factor for me as to whether or not it was a legitimate paranormal event. But I'm still going with paranormal, just off the context of what's there. I'm just visioning it in my mind. Like I said, I don't think the funeral home has anything to do with it, but just the weird way they're walking, the fact it was overcast, the fact that they're illuminated. There's just something that's a little off about it that makes it like off in a sense of it probably wasn't a mom and her two kids walking across the parking lot.
very well could be. Alrighty then. Number 3, a nice one for once. What do you make of this? Ever since my mother died a few months ago, I've been seeing white butterflies a lot when I'm outside. Almost every time I go out, I have at least one encounter with them, sometimes multiple. Sometimes they fly right near me or just a bit away from me, but they always seem to make sure I notice them. They never stay for long either, just a quick visit. Another funny thing is my grandmother died just over a year ago, and sometimes I see 2 butterflies. And all of these butterflies are always white every single time. I've researched it, and the info said it could represent loved ones watching over you, showing you that they are there. I always love doing stuff with my mom, and whenever I'm doing something outside, I see one, almost as if she's saying, I'm still here, I'm watching you do it, you're still doing it with me. What do you guys make of that? I think you're right. On to you, Dave.
Huh?
What, were you not paying attention?
Yeah, no, I'm paying attention.
I just said I think he's right, and now on to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard you say I think he's right, and I didn't catch what you said after that. So that's the fastest response. That's what really blew me away there was the fact that you only said 5 words and then you passed the torch on to me.
I know
I,
that was kind of the point.
yeah, I had
No,
to regain my composure there for a second.
you thought you had at least another 30 seconds. No, I will expand upon my statement. No, the writer of this is exactly right. Whatever research he was doing, I'm surprised you could find anything on it. But yeah, I mean, there are our loved ones will find certain ways of communicating that they are still there, and there's a lot of stories of people who find dimes or pennies, just all the time at places that they really shouldn't, and they take those as signs that the love, the people that loved us and have since passed away are still around. um I think it's great that you see one, if not two. I think they definitely could represent your mother and your grandmother, and I would just keep acknowledging it. Maybe every time that you see one of those butterflies, just say hi, mom, or love you, mom, miss you, mom, whatever you want to say. And I think that's, as the subject says, I think it's a good one. I think I wish everybody could have something like that to the point where they understand what they could be encountering. Because I'm sure the other people would be like, it's a demon. Demon's trying to trick me by showing me butterflies. No, I definitely think that it's probably your mom letting you know that she's still there for you. That's all I got.
Okay. So I'm with you on that to an extent. I think more importantly, I think that if this individual is getting peace, internal peace, out of the fact that these butterflies are there and that they believe what they're seeing is the truth, then fantastic. Why take it any farther than that? No sense to pick it apart because it's satisfying a need for them emotionally, or two needs maybe, right? Obviously one for mom who just passed away, but then also for, depending on the relationship with the grandmother who passed away a little over a year ago. So maybe it's satisfying a couple of different emotional needs for this person. If I were going to shred it, obviously it'd be easy because you'd be, well, it's a butterfly. Is it uncommon to see white butterflies, in your area? That would be the first thing I would ask. But is it always just one? Is it just that there's one close to you, but there's 27 of them in the field? So, we'll just leave it as a good one, like it says. I think it's a good story. I definitely I personally know somebody who, when they're having issues in their life, they get visited by a cardinal, and that's their guardian angel, and they think it's their grandmother, and that's what she believes, that's what it is. She believes that it's her grandmother coming back, trying to let her know that everything's okay, not to take everything so serious, that things are going to be fine. Slow down. Don't get so uptight about stuff. And the time, and really the only time she sees the cardinal is when she's having a hard time in her life, or that's the only time she notices it. But again, I think that there's definitely communication from the other side. Thoroughly believe that. And like I said, if it makes you feel good, if it makes this person feels a need, obviously that's what's most important. So, okay, number 4. This is interesting. Has anyone ever seen the ghost of someone who hasn't yet died? Is this even possible? I've worked at my job for over 6 years now. I work in a large production nursery, 12 acres of greenhouses and crops. For the first year or so, I would always see our maintenance man out of the corner of my eye when he was very clearly physically located elsewhere on the property or not even at work. In the summer months, I'd be spraying chemicals alone until late in the evening, and every time I was there alone, I would catch a glimpse of him in the distance. It seemed to always be an out of the corner of the eye kind of thing. He always wore a white t-shirt with blue shorts. He is 6'4" with shocking white hair, so it's impossible to mistake him for someone else. His ghost, in quotes, would always just be walking down one of the footpaths or crop beds. I even asked some of the older staff if there was a death on site in the past. Perhaps I was seeing someone who worked there years prior. Fast forward 2 years, I ended up saving his life. He suffered a major heart attack one Friday afternoon when the majority of staff had gone home for the day. Me and my production manager performed CPR on him for over 20 minutes until the paramedics arrived. They told us we had saved his life. So my question is, was I seeing his future ghost? Was the ghost premonition a warning from the other side or from my future subconscious, perhaps? I have never told anyone this, but it's something I think about too often. Something or someone was trying to tell me that he would die there. What do you guys think? Well, if you take the butterfly effect here and you saved his life and he wasn't supposed to be saved, then who knows what the future holds for everybody. But let's just say that you were having some type of a premonition that you were going to be needed to perform this life-saving opportunity for this individual because it wasn't his time to pass, is where I'm headed with my answer here. Everything happens for a reason. I've said it that 100,000 times. The fact that you were there at that time and your production manager was there at that time when the majority of the staff had gone home for the day, you weren't there just haphazardly. You were there because you were supposed to be there. You did CPR, you knew CPR, and did CPR for over 20 minutes until the paramedics arrived, because that's what you were supposed to do, because that's what was predicted. That was what was set in motion, that was going to be what was going to happen. Did you save his life? I'm going to say, I'm not a paramedic, but I'm going to say if you did 20 minutes of CPR and he had a major heart attack and the paramedics got there and he was still alive, I'm going to say that, yeah, you saved his life. Now, going to the paranormal side of this, were you seeing his future ghost? I don't think so, at least not the way you're phrasing it. So I think what you were seeing was, I think you were seeing him, I'm going to say future him, not past him. I think it was future him going about his business after the fact that his life was saved, if that makes sense. So you were seeing a slice of time of what his life is going to be somewhere down the road, because he's still alive on the planet Earth because of your heroic efforts to save his life. I wouldn't call that a warning. Was the ghost premonition a warning from the other side, or from my future subconscious, perhaps? That's going a little too deep. I wouldn't consider it to be a warning in any way, shape, or form. I think it was something that was meant to happen. I wouldn't call it a warning. A warning for me means something that you need to be cautious of or to be on high alert. So I wouldn't say that this is a situation where it would be a warning, but I would say that you were being predisposed mentally for this event that was going to happen in your future. So was it a premonition coming from your subconscious or coming from somewhere in the future? Yes. And congratulations on saving somebody's life.
I agree with you on that one. Doing 20 minutes of CPR, not easy.
No.
And so kudos to you. And no, that doesn't really give it the the pizzazz that it requires, but kudos. I don't believe it was a premonition at all. I think if it was a premonition, he would have seen him on the ground dying as opposed to doing his job, walking down the hill, doing nonchalant things. There's again a lot of things that this could be, as seen as so, known to say a lot. We live past, present, and future. Is it a time slip? Is it something he did before? Is it residual energy? Maybe something that he did time and time again, and you're sensitive to it and aren't aware of it. Does this guy have abilities, to or like manifest himself, to project his image, in other places? I don't know. Is it paranormal? I believe so. I just don't think that it's as intense and as you said, deep as he's trying to make this out to be. I agree with you. It's not a warning. I don't even know what future subconscious means. I've never heard that term before. I don't think that exists. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I just don't think that you really need to spend so much time thinking about it, especially since this like other him is not interacting with you in any way. Like you're seeing him at a distance, out of the corner of your eye, doing mundane things. I think if anything, it's just an energy slippage, a time slippage that you're sensitive to and that you're picking it up. And like, that's it.
I was going to say, I wonder, what do you think of this? So, because it just popped into my head as you were talking. So you would kind of alluded to, like, maybe this is like this person's past or like reliving this thing. So like, what if the whole purpose of this moment in this person's life, not the person who had the heart attack, but the person who saved him, what if the whole purpose of the moment was that he needed to save him, and that in the past, let's just throw a round number out there, 10 times that he's lived this moment previously, something went awry and he wasn't able to save this guy's life. Maybe he took off, maybe he left work early, like the majority of the staff. Maybe he left early for the day, took an early Friday. Maybe he wasn't capable of doing 20 minutes of CPR. 20 minutes of CPR probably seemed like frickin' 10 hours. I mean, I've done CPR a couple of different times in an effort to save somebody's life. And it's one of those kind of situations that you're in where 30 seconds seems like 30 minutes. So for 20 minutes, I mean, Jesus, that's impressive. But I wonder, maybe what do you think? I mean, do you think that's possible? Like, hey, first 10 times, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. The 11th time it happens. Now, is this a time for this individual to move forward so that he's not going to be brought back into this situation the next time?
I guess I don't really know exactly what you're asking me. Are you saying that like the hero of the writer of the story is seeing the
like he's gone through multiple lives, and that this situation keeps recurring throughout his multiple lives. And you know how Cena, you got me thinking, because of when you brought Cena up, that we have to accomplish the certain task in order to move forward. So if you're not accomplishing the task, if the task that you're given doesn't get accomplished, then you're in a situation where you're forced to repeat the situation until you accomplish that task. So in her terms, this guy signed up to be a life-saving, to be a lifesaver of somebody from a major heart attack. The first 10 times he went through it, he wasn't capable of doing the task. On the 11th time, 12th time, whatever, he managed to do it. The number of times is irrelevant here. I'm just throwing out a round number. It could be 1 time or 2 times. It could be 25 times. That doesn't matter. But he's now that he's accomplished the task that he signed up for, now he's able to move forward himself. That's a possibility of what's happening here?
I don't necessarily think that the lessons that we sign up for are based on specific events. Like, I don't think we sign up for the task of saving a person's life or this specific person's life. But while you were doing, and also the lessons that we do, if we don't complete them in this life, then we do it in our next life.
Right.
And our next life is not going to repeat the same way that this one did, because we're going to be in a different body. We're going to be a different place. We're going to be different. Everything is going to be different. We just have to continue to learn, or to try and learn whatever lesson is we still need to. However, it may be possible that this guy, either temporarily or I don't know, permanently or whatever, was shifting dimensions, where he went into, dimension 45, where that guy was walking down the hill, and then maybe shifted back or whatever. And then he got to the certain place where this guy had the heart attack. I don't know if that's true or not, but from what I understand and what I know of Sina and what she's talked to me about, the lessons, whatever, that specific point is not really what we're supposed to learn. Like, we're supposed to have a lesson in humility. We're supposed to have a lesson in, like, mine apparently, that I need to learn is patience, even though I've completely mastered that. I'm a Jedi after all. Just want to see the look on your face. But anyway, so if I don't encounter that in this life, I don't get to relive my life until I do. I go on to the next life, and then I'm given a completely new set of situations where I'm going to try and learn it there.
Right. But the life event that you need to learn is going to move forward with you.
Yes, the lesson that I need to learn until I learn it,
right,
is follows me until I do.
Right.
But if for whatever reason this event or whatever has something to do with this lesson, he's not going to keep seeing the same person or whatever to set him up for that. Or he's not going to keep having to relive it until he does. I honestly would be interested to see if, now that this guy has had his life saved or whatever, if he still sees it. He still right. sees him, like, walking down the hill or whatever. I mean, he didn't really go any forward to, like, oh, I'm still seeing him now that I've, his life was saved.
My guess would be no. My guess would be that he's not seeing anything out of the corner of his eye anymore.
I guess we would have to find out. But to your question, no, I don't think that that's exactly what's going on here.
Sweet.
What a great transition. Sweet. All right. Well, we are going to go to our break, and when we come back, we'll finish our stories, and then we'll hop into tonight's topic.
Angels.
So, that's right. So, see everybody on the other side.
Hey, this is Mike Couch from Lost Limbs Foundation. Make sure you check out Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files, because they really need the listeners.
Hello, I'm Al Lagarde from Paper Route Productions, executive producer of Kindred Spirits, Paranormal State, a whole bunch of television shows. And I've worked with a lot of people on paranormal projects and met a lot of people in paranormal radio. And I want to say that Dave and Mike are two people who have a face for radio, in particular, internet radio.
Hey, it's Chris Fleming. More painful than a Tyrannosaurus Rex stepping on your testicle. Listen to Dave and Mike on Odyssey Files.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Lindbergh, and you are listening to the Odyssey Files with David and Michael. And let me tell you, it's almost as painful as a Skype glitch.
This is Andy Lynch, Director of Photography of Kindred Spirits. And when I'm not filming Amy and Adam at some creepy location, you can find me listening to the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike. Or doing something else, I don't know.
Hello everyone, this is Ken Boggle. You know, you hear so many great moments during each and every episode of the Odyssey Files with Dave and Mike, but if I had to really choose my favorite moment, it would have to be when the show is over.
And we are back. So I love those.
I'm just going to say there is nothing more painful than a Skype glitch.
Thank goodness we no longer have to worry about that.
God, we used to have some brutal moments, man. God, you just want to like take your shit and throw it out the window and just throw your hands up in the air and just leave and just go whatever. Sit down on the couch and turn a movie on and just be like, F it, man, I'm done.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've been on 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late because of Skype. We've got on not at all. Had to miss shows because of Skype. Yeah. Because of Skype. So glad we no longer have to worry about Skype.
Yeah. You and me both.
But I still do, you know, anytime Jerry ever invites me on the calling, he still uses Skype. And I'm like, I gotta bring that up. So all right. Here we go. Number 5. Did something follow me home? Hi, guys. So when I was a young teenager, I attended a birthday party at a farm in the middle of nowhere. The kids there pulled out a Ouija board and asked it a bunch of questions like names, events, the future, etc. They seemed to all be answered. I didn't participate, but I was in the room. I was young and I had no idea and thought it was a board game. But ever since that day, I was never the same. I would or could see and feel a menacing presence. It seemed to follow me everywhere I went and affected me emotionally and mentally to the point where my doctor diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. Fast forward to my current age of 24. My mom noticed my behavior had gotten worse and erratic, and since she was Buddhist, she brought me to the temple. The priest or monk advised my mom that I had a quote-unquote Western ghost attached to me for the last decade and to send it off with offerings. She recited a prayer and offered its fruits and food, and since that day, I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders and felt so much lighter. I'm not sure if it was a placebo effect or not. That night, after taking a shower and stepping out, all 10 of my little light bulbs on top of my mirror shattered onto me, and I received a cut on my foot. It felt like a last FU to me. But ever since then, no paranormal experiences. None. What do you guys make of that? I think it's interesting. Even though I personally don't believe that you can get an attachment just by being in the room with the Ouija board, it has been known to happen. They might have called something in, and for whatever reason, maybe you just said you weren't really participating, but you said something that brought up, that invited it to attach itself to you. I've had an attachment had nothing to do with the Ouija board, but it too was the most unproductive attachment ever. like it didn't over a decade, and it didn't really. I guess I really can't say it didn't do anything to you because obviously it changed you a little bit. But I mean, that kind of attachment, I have never heard of offerings like making it go away. Like offerings typically only work against elementals. So either you invited an elemental to be to come along with you for whatever reason. I don't know. I like the big fu that it did, but again, if you gave it offerings and it was going to leave, why would it need to like freak you out one last time? Like there's just a lot here that doesn't make any sense. And I almost want to throw the bullshit flag on this one just because there's so many different things that don't add up. And I think if anything, it probably was the placebo effect. But I guess I would have to know whether all of a sudden you were suddenly not bipolar. Like if you just continue to have these same issues even after, but no paranormal experiences, then I would say that your doctor was probably right in his diagnosis, and whatever your mom did just made you feel better. And when you felt better, you felt lighter, and you created this all yourself. It would just have to be, I would have to know what answers were given. Maybe something freaked you out during that Ouija board session that made you think and create that environment for yourself. And it wasn't until something was done, I put that in quotations, that made you feel like you could get rid of it. But yeah, there's just a lot here that for me just does not fit with these types of happenings. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I just think that again, either there's information missing, like maybe experiences and stuff that you had instead of just feeling a weight on your shoulders and being diagnosed with bipolar. But I mean, everything seems to be like with you mentally and stuff like that. Like there's no slamming doors and there doesn't seem to be any possession actually going on. Yeah, I think there's either a lot missing or this is all on you in some fashion.
Okay. So I disagree, but I think that depending on what happened during the Ouija board session, I don't think you necessarily have to have your hands on the planchet in order to be a potential victim of something that's conjured up or something that's allowed the access to step into our realm. It could have been, this individual could have done, they could have just said something as simple as, I don't believe this. I don't believe that I don't believe in this. I think that you guys are full of shit. Or he probably didn't say that being 14 years old, but although a 14-year-old today would say that, but a decade ago, probably not, maybe, but I think that if you're in a situation, if you're in a room where something's going on like that, whether it be a Ouija board or some type of conjuring or some type of Satanism or some type of witchcraft, you don't have to be actively participating in order to be a potential victim. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more before I check out myself, that anytime that something negative shows up, it's always going to take a look for the weakest link. And
Dave,
so
your audio just went out.
My audio went out?
Yep, can't hear you. Well, now you muted yourself. Nope.
Yeah, no, I really.
Still can't hear you. All right. Well, obviously that was the spirit saying that Dave is wrong. In fact, just because
Is that better?
just because this happened, I'm going to play this,
Michael's right.
or maybe not.
Michael's right.
Why is
Can
that
you hear
not
me?
playing?
It's playing on my end.
Well, that's unfortunate. But you can hear me, right?
I can hear you, and I just
Okay.
heard Ken.
Yeah, I still can't hear you. So there's something wrong with your audio.
Well, call
It's
me.
really interesting.
Hang up on StreamYard and call me back.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Dave's going to jump off and then jump back on, I'm assuming. Yep. All right. So it's just me now. I don't really have anything to. I wish I would have had it gone first because I could give my answer. Alrighty. Well, how about them Cowboys? Just kidding. I saw an article about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. And why isn't I wanted to play my Michael's right, but for some reason it's not playing,
Michael's right.
which is weird because it always does. I'm not ending the broadcast in order to fix this. Okay. Well, let's try this again. All right, let's see. Nope.
Any success?
Still can't hear you. Apparently, talking about attachments from a Ouija board is bad luck. Well, especially since it's not playing. I think this is actually more StreamYard than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah. The only thing that I can think of is that we're going to have to end the show, which is boo. But I might be able to kind of end this, start again, and then connect the two on audio. I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work. All right. Well, that's what we're going to have to do. So we will be back here in a couple seconds. You're going to have to give me probably, well, I mean, people who listen to this on audio are just going to hear the smooth transition. So, all right. So, yeah, we'll see everybody here in, I don't know, 3 seconds. So, all right, here we go.